Well, it's been about 9 months since its release now, and with so much going for it, I wanted to share my experiences with the 14 Pro. Everything from design, software, camera, performance, and the dynamic island. Guess a bit of context, I've been dailying the 14 Pro since back in September of launch day, and before that the 13 Pro Max adjacently with the 13 Mini. Sort of best of both worlds, if you will. And those phones had great performance and great battery life. One of those traits of which I feel the 14 Pro struggles with. Battery life, it's battery life. For the life of me, I have not gotten this phone past a full day of use. Even after its numerous updates, even tinkering with some of these settings, the battery on this phone was frankly quite disappointing. Now again, coming from last year's 13 Pro Max and 13 Mini's track record, 14 Pro, it falls short. One thing to take note of, and briefly jumping into display, the always on display in my experience impacted the 14 Pro's battery life heavily. And in all honesty, I was keen on keeping the AOD turned on regardless of the consequences. However, pairing that with the battery degradation, it didn't mix too well. On the contrary, the one thing I have to give mention to, the 120 Hz refresh rate, it feels smooth and I enjoy having that fluidity. I still do think that there's a slight difference between something like the S23 Ultra and just how smoother that feels, but again, that's for another time. But now segueing into performance, this phone is fast and it's maintained a consistent level through and through, even after the decrease in battery capacity going from 100% down to 91% these past 9 months. It's still kept a consistent pace. Personally, using this device for the average task, it zooms through anything and everything I do. Pretty simple, straightforward. Texting, emailing, phone calls, YouTube, light photo editing. Now, it doesn't go without saying that I've had my fair share of issues, more notably the issues iOS 16 came with. A few glitches to the lock screen, orientation issues, dropped frame rates, but all in all, this was towards the front end of my journey during the initial months after launch. It's definitely gotten better since. I just think Apple has a really good record, all things considered, for pushing and keeping up with their devices. It doesn't always fix the issue, but it's nice to see that OTA update come in with some bug fixes and the occasional feature or updated emojis. And during these past 9 months, there's definitely been a few updates here. But let's now jump over to the design. Basically a 13 Pro with an upgraded camera layout, new color, and a pill-shaped cutout at the top. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a fan. But the design, it's grown a bit old, a bit stale, at least in comparison with some of the competition. At the same time, this design, this phone feels really good in hand. I think especially in its more raw state with no case. Now, speaking from personal experience, this phone has held up pretty well. Besides a few scratches, this one minor indentation, it looks good. For almost 9 months with no case and a few accidental drops, you have to give praise to Apple for its choice in materials. Another thing worth giving praise for is the 48 megapixel sensor. I think the one place this phone still keeps this wow factor is in with its video capability. I recently saw Mexico versus Panama at the SoFi Stadium here in Inglewood, California, and the cinematic mode, chef's kiss. It's a great camera, and that larger sensor also means natural bokeh. So actually, I rarely now use its portrait mode. I just find it to be a little more dramatic in some instances. I prefer the more natural pictures it produces without it. Lastly, the dynamic island, the one feature that really separates this phone from last year. And you see, at this point in time, it's gotten better, but I feel there's so much more Apple can do here. In terms of usability, it depends on what you do. It is convenient for sure. Does it get in the way? At times, yes, but at this point, it's become a natural instinct to not even see it, especially when consuming content. There's also a few things I wish they would have done differently, but again, that's just for another video. Now, with the iPhone 15 on the horizon, I suggest you wait. The 13 Pro is just as capable, if not better in some instances. So if you have anything lower than the 13, it's better to just wait it out and see what the 15 lineup has to offer. Again, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you guys want to see more videos like this one, and we'll see you guys on the next one.